Grown and Growing Podcast, episode 44. Fed Up, my 15-week journey with nutrition coach Netra Shettleworth. You're listening to Grown and Growing with Sonia Hamlin.
Because if you don't learn new habits, that's still not going to help you. And so whether you take these type of, pharmaceuticals, or you take true weight loss drug pharmaceuticals, or you have surgery for weight loss, whether it be gastric, the sleeve, or a hybrid of both of those, you still must learn how to live the lifestyle.
Welcome back to the podcast. At the beginning of this year, I was tired. I was out of shape. I could feel my health declining. I was just in a really bad way, health-wise. I was fed up with dieting, and I was really struggling to lose this 30 pounds that I had gained over the course of COVID. After interviewing Coach Netra on this podcast, check out the February episode called Cracking the Nutrition and Weight Loss Code. So I interviewed her on this podcast, and then we talked offline. So we had more conversations after we had recorded the podcast, and I decided to work with her. This week, I'm talking about my 15-week journey of working with a nutrition coach. I learned so much about myself, about nutrition, about the benefits of working with somebody else. I recently posted on my social media that no one can do hard things alone. And this was a hard thing for me, and I needed help. So I am talking with Coach Netra about my 15-week journey. So without further ado, let's get into this topic. Welcome, Coach Netra, back to the podcast. I'm very excited to have you. How are you?
Thank you, and I'm excited to be here.
Good. Well, you came back. So we're obviously, if people see you and they recognize you from the podcast we did earlier in the year, we did one in the wintertime. You'll know we're talking about nutrition today because that is what your expertise is. But I wanted to have you back on the podcast because, our first conversation was really about why is it difficult for women of a certain age, particularly my age? Why is it hard for us to lose weight? What is it? Why can't we get it right? And we spent the majority of our first conversation kind of breaking down why that might be difficult based on your experience of working with women like me for many years. So I wanted to have you back because we ultimately decided to work together.
Yes.
Of our conversations. And I want to share that experience with my audience because I feel like it's so valuable. We are in a time where, weight loss is always not just weight loss, but weight loss, nutrition, dieting is always in the news in some form or in some form, right? Either we're talking about the food that we eat and how it's not nutritious, or we're talking about a new diet that just came out, or we're talking about how science has changed and one thing that was bad is now good. More recently, we're talking about weight loss drugs or drugs that were meant for diabetes where the side effect is weight loss. I can't really understand the difference between the two. That's prevalent now. And we decided to work together, mostly based on the conversation that we had back in January or February, whenever we talked. And, it was during that recorded conversation that I saw that you were knowledgeable and just a great person. And even after we pressed stop recording, we were able to talk even more. And I just came away with a really good feeling. And the way I was introduced to you is that I followed you on social media and I really liked your content first. That was the first thing that got me, is that I liked your content. It was relatable. I felt like I learned a lot, even just from following you on social media. So you are back today for us to talk about my experience in working with you. And I'm going to be super transparent with, my journey and where I was. So I want to start by you just giving a brief overview of your expertise, your experience, just so people can get a taste. If you want the full thing, you can go back to the previous episode, but Go ahead.
Perfect. I'm excited to be here. And for everybody listening, the majority of my career, I have been a corporate professional, much like those who I assist. But I have studied food and nutrition for 20 years, but always did it kind of referral only. Maybe I played it safe in my life and I said, nope, I'm going to stay in my corporate world. But I always still did this kind of like my side gig. But in reality, this is my real calling. It is what I love. It is what gets me up in the morning, which is helping professionals learn how to live this lifestyle in a way that is, number one, sustainable. Number two, that we can have some fun with it. But number three is understanding that we can get longevity. How can we improve the quality of our life? And it's through the lifestyle. So it's not just the food, it's the food, your activity, your sleep, your stress. And so we're able to really dive into all aspects of that within my coaching program.
Yes. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do coaching is because I had reached a point in my life where I felt like I had tried a number of things, right? I had tried the keto diet, that worked. I tried Weight Watchers at one point. I had tried, just my fitness pal to track my own food because duh, it's food. Why can't you get it? You should be able to do it on your own. All you got to do is eat less and work out more, duh. So I tried all of these things. I didn't try Noom because at this point, after Weight Watchers, I was like, I'm done with online apps. And I think, one of the important things about, you coming into my life in the way that you did is that it was very timely because I was at a point where I was kind of fed up. I was fed up with, knowing a lot. Like I knew a lot about nutrition and what I should be doing. I think what made it hard was there's so much information out there. It's information overload. So trying to find what was healthy and what worked for me on a sustainable basis was very hard. And so, I think I shared on the last podcast that we had done together that I gained 30 pounds over COVID and I was struggling with losing the weight. And it was, obviously I know I gained weight and everybody who knows me knows I gain weight because it's physical and you can see it. That bothered me, right? Because that's very like, you can't fit in your clothes. You want to look a certain way and you don't. I think the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge to kind of ask for help were the symptoms you couldn't see, were the things that I didn't tell anybody or that I didn't even realize were, at least initially, were related to my health. And it was obviously just working out. So I work out a lot. I work out every day. Even when I was gaining weight, I was still working out. So I felt like I was pretty active. And my workouts just got worse. Like I was winded in the workout very early on, not because I was just working so hard, but because I was winded early. I would be winded walking upstairs. And so it was just weird for me to feel this way. And, I would come home from work, I would have frequent headaches that I couldn't figure out why, but just tension. I would come home and put my head under the blanket and just go to sleep because that was all I could handle in the evening. But the thing that really got me, the thing that I was really like, okay, girl, you need to pay attention for real, was I went to my gynecologist a few months prior, and my blood pressure was borderline high. And it had never been high before. I always had a pretty good blood pressure. And she was like, oh, this is kind of high. And I was like, what? I was shocked. I was shocked that I had high blood pressure. So, that was the thing that I was like, I really need to do something about it. And I decided to sign up, like after you were on the podcast and talked, I decided to sign up for your coaching program. And what I liked about your program is that it, obviously I would learn how to eat, but the thing that really got me was also that it was 15 weeks. Like, I liked that it was long. Like, it wasn't a 30-day, gotcha, I'm gonna put you on the right path. 15 weeks is a significant amount of time.
And it still goes by fast.
It still goes by fast, which again, the time is gonna pass anyway. So you might as well do it.
You might as well do it.
It's gonna pass. But it was 15 weeks, which I felt was substantial enough to really see change and to really get something to click. And so I like that. I also like that you had weekly coaching that we could go to. That's really important because for me, I needed to see you. I needed to talk to you. And, on those Tuesdays when we met, it wasn't just you giving me more information about how to eat, right? It's like you laid out the mechanics, and you were also pouring into us about what to eat, or other nutritional education that we could get on Tuesday. So I like that. But also it was
Wonderful.
time for me to not only talk about what I did during the week, like the mechanics of, did I eat enough? Did I eat the right things? It was also a chance for me to talk about how I was feeling, right? If I felt defeated, if I felt, if I had a mindset thing that I needed to work out with you, those were the times. And that's so valuable. So I'm going to stop talking because I've
Mhm.
talked a lot. I can go on, and I will tell more about our experience, but I want you to comment on, the on your program and why it's structured like that.
Mhm.
15 weeks. How did you land on it?
Well, number one, to everybody listening, first of all, I was so proud of Sonia doing the program because she did so well. But I tell everybody the most important part about being coachable is you actually have to be coachable. You have to have an open mind around being ready to do it different. And I chose 15 weeks because for me, in my experience, I find it to be an optimal time to not only kind of get things going, but we're able to work out the kinks. So I try to call it, or I do call it, kind of phase one is kind of that tear down. We have to tear down all of the old. We got to get rid of it, right? It is literally kind of that renovation. We've got to get rid of all the old thinking, because those are the things that keep you trapped in what I call a diet culture and not a health or fit culture. It's just a diet culture, and diet culture is not sustainable. And then we've got to try to rebuild it, right? Rebuilding it is, okay, I'm getting some more reps under my belt. I feel more comfortable. Now I understand why this was happening to me. Oh man, I feel so much better. And then it's that repetition phase where, man, you know what? I think I really am nailing it. Now it's time to kind of keep repeating, get it better. And not to repeat everybody in the sense of monotony or in the sense of I'm doing the same thing, eating the same things. No, but repeating the same habits over and over so that you get very comfortable. It's also a phase where we can explore a little bit. You traveling, you're going on a trip, you're at restaurants. So we're learning how to live the lifestyle and not just follow instructions. Right. And then that last phase is really that thrive phase. And you get a chance to do that with me before you kind of go on your own. And I send you back out into the world. We get a chance to see where the vulnerabilities are. Where do we need to tweak a little bit? What new foods have we added? What new activities? How have we handled travel? How have we handled restaurants? How have we handled everyday life? Because for those of you listening, the majority of my clients are just like Sonia, who have real lives, moms, wives, husbands. They are literally with children. They're working, they're traveling. There's real things going on that can really try to get in your way. But I'm here to help people stay the course on what it means to be sustaining, what it means to be consistent, even in the face of what feels like, this week is going to be ridiculous, it's awful. But how do we tweak and how do we make adjustments, how we pivot just a little bit when things get very rough, but we don't stop, we don't abandon.
Right.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that I most appreciated about the timing, like I said, were us getting together every Tuesday. It was like clockwork. Didn't miss
Mhm.
one, because that time was so valuable. But I want to go back to state what my goal was, because I think it's very individual, right?
Mhm.
When you decide to do something like this, your goal is individual. And what I appreciated is that you listened to my goal and shaped a program that fit that goal. And my
Mhm.
goal was obviously to lose weight, but I think I saw the bigger picture, because I'm like, I do want to lose weight, but ultimately I just want to learn how to eat healthy. That's it. And I don't want a special diet. I don't want to have to go into a restaurant and instruct the cook on how to make my food or what to take.
Yes.
Give me a list of ingredients. I
Yes.
did not want to do that. I wanted to be able to eat with my family. That was important to me. I wanted to be able to cook things that they would enjoy and that they could eat as well. And so, you know, my plea to you was like, give me real food. And that's what you did. You were like, we started with picking the foods that I enjoyed most and how are we going to work them in with my weight loss goals.
And I remember the first few weeks I remember you said, oh my God, like I'm really eating real food. Like these are real meals.
Yes.
I'm eating, toast. I'm eating some bread. I'm eating all the things that I enjoy. And it was so funny because remember we always joked about how then you went back to, I actually do like salad.
Right.
It's a funny thing what we like when we're not forced to eat them.
Correct. And one thing that was important to me when it came down to food was like I had rituals. Like in the summer, I had a ritual with my daughter. We had our own ice cream place that we would go to, just me and her, and we would get ice cream, and it's just our time. And I told you, I'm like, I still want to do that.
Yep.
I still want to be able to take her out for ice cream, and I don't want to get lactose. I don't want to get a special kind of ice cream, a vegan ice cream, a non-dairy. Look, I am still able to eat dairy, and
Yes,
as
and I'll
my
enjoy it.
going to tolerate the dairy, I would like to have it. And also, ice cream is my favorite thing to have in the summer. But there were ways that we could work that into the plan, which I appreciated. So I know people are like, oh, this sounds kind of like weird. You can eat whatever. But I think the key was portion size.
Yes,
The portion.
that is 100% the key to being successful is understanding what is the amount of food that makes sense for your body, your objective, your goals. And it was so important that, you started off by saying, you had a particular goal in mind. Every single person who comes to me has something different that they want. Some people truly just want to lose weight and they want to know how to maintain it. Some people don't care anything about losing weight. They just want to live a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. Some people are coming because they really are having a health emergency or their health is deteriorating and they need to reel this thing back in. So it just depends on what someone wants. And even within a group and coaching environment, it is still very custom. It is still very individualized for what you need, what you want. And those portion sizes are the same as well. And once we understand how much to eat at one time that makes sense for you, that translates to every single place you go, no matter the vacation, no matter the restaurant, no matter the outing, the friend's house, the holiday party, we still manage the amount.
Yeah. And I think, for people who used to track or who are used to tracking macros, like your proteins, your fats, your carbs, you still incorporated that, even having me eat, giving me the calories, even though I'm never counting calories. You gave it to me.
Correct.
Me a number, I'm like, look, it needs to be easy. But if you are into counting macros, you explain to me, based on the portion sizes, you should have this much carb, this much fat, this much protein, this much, so even if you're tracking your macros, you are still doing that. Like I still understand that every time I eat a meal, my plate is going to look a certain way based on quote unquote macros. But for me, it's just like, okay, do I have a protein? Which, do I have a protein at every meal? Do I have, for lunch and dinner, for lunch and breakfast, I can have a starchy carb, but for dinner, I can't, so it's like, it's not can't, but it's,
And I love it because it teaches you how to create the balance that you needed, right? Because your objective was to eat healthier, make it be sustainable and not lose everything you love, but also you wanted to lose weight. And so everybody listening, there's a point where if we also are trying to lose weight, we still have to be in a deficit, right? We still have to be in a deficit to lose weight. But when we're not in the deficit and we maintain, she's going to still be able to maintain. It's just slightly more. It's just a little bit more of the group, which is those carb group, right? That's really the only group that we're really going to change up and down for the majority of the people. But it's so important that the plates are always balanced and we have a really good understanding of what that is. And some people like something different. Some people only want to see macros. Some people only want to see calories. Some people only want hand portions. So I work to make sure that you understand all of those depending on, and you are able to decide which way works best for you, but you don't have to track. You don't have to put it in an app. Some people like apps. Have at it. Right?
Yeah.
We can do that too, but you don't need it. But if you like it, I've given you the tools to be able to track it also with me at the same time. And so it really does support, no matter what the person's experiences are, or no matter what their preference, we're able to support all aspects of it. And we also help you learn. So it's not this manipulative approach.
Right. And it was very elementary. I was like, no, I need the hand. I need a hand. I mean, it was very helpful. I mean, one of the things that you have us do is take pictures of our food every meal. So number one, that did a couple of things, right? Accountability. I'm not going to cheat if I know I got to send you all of my meals. And it also helps you look at my meals and say, okay, that's too much this, or you want to take back that, or, you could look in your professional opinion about what I was eating and figure out what I was doing wrong, particularly when I couldn't. The other thing I liked about, this way of eating was it introduced to me, it let me be creative. I never ate breakfast before. And just understanding the importance of breakfast for me, for my body, being able to be creative with my meals. I was eating vegetables a whole lot more, cooking at home a whole lot more, and not in a way that cooking got in the way. I already lived a very busy lifestyle, but there is going to come a time where you do have to make some sacrifices. And the sacrifice for me was preparing my food over the weekend, going shopping over the weekend. That was the sacrifice I was making. I had to fit that in. And you can always tell when it didn't work. When I did not do it, things were off. They were off. It didn't work. And even now, even though I'm quote unquote done with the coaching program, I know I can look back over my week and know exactly what happened, exactly what I did wrong to cause the scale to not move or move in a direction that I don't want. The other things I want to talk about, like all the things that I learned from you. When earlier I mentioned, I had a lot of headaches and we couldn't figure out why, or at least I couldn't. And I think I don't know exactly what it is, but what I think it was is the amount of water I was drinking. I wasn't drinking enough. Right. So you gave me a water goal to meet, which I still do.
That's what we're talking about, everybody's sustainability. It has to be able to be maintained.
Yeah. And you taught me a trick, because I was like, one of my biggest pet peeves about drinking a lot of water is like, look, I'm like, I can't pee all day. I got meetings. Sometimes I have back-to-back meetings. And if I'm drinking 40 ounces of water, in a few hours, or I can't go to the bathroom that many times because I'm on back-to-back meetings. So it doesn't work. And so you taught me this trick to put a pinch of salt in my water. And that would, I don't know, you explain what it did. All I know, it works.
I love it. And so to everybody listening, the headaches, right? It was twofold here. It was at times too much water. Was too much. It could be too much water, or not enough, or it was not enough salt. And what we had to really go over is there's oftentimes we believe that, salt is the source of our high blood pressure. And so you start to cut it out, and you actually start to cut it too low. And the more water that you're drinking, but you're not replacing that sodium, it's an imbalance in a body. And so headaches are usually always commensurate with either low salt or either you're dehydrated. Because what's happening is the salt is allowing your body to actually filter out what needs to be filtered out. It's allowing your body to actually use the water to stay in your body. And so when you just keep putting water in with no salt, all of a sudden, that's why the frequency of bathroom is just like running through you. it's not actually doing what it's supposed
Two
to
seconds
do.
later, you can drink it and it's time to
And
go
it's
sit.
done. Yes, and
Tell
it's just
everybody at
coming
work. They're like,
straight
what
out
are
of your
you doing?
body.
Yeah.
Usually, when you have enough salt, water doesn't run straight through you because it allows your body to use it and it allows your cells to absorb the water. And that is how we work on hydration. And so we nailed that. And those headaches all of a sudden just went away.
Not had a headache since before we started working together. That is no lie. Like I don't have I don't ask my husband. I do not have headaches anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big aha for me because I wanted to drink water, but I'm like, look, I'm too busy to keep peeing. And all of those good things that you just said about absorption and all that. Great. Also, you don't have to run to the bathroom. Um,
Yes.
the other big aha moment for me was assessing my activity level. That was
Mm.
huge.
Ooh.
That was huge. I have been working out since I've been an adult. I've always had some consistent activity, whether I was running half marathons and running on a regular basis. I went
Mm-hmm.
to camp, I joined gyms. I've always been a very active person, right? And I told you this, I'm like, I work out every day. Like, what
Yeah.
is the problem? Why? Like, I got that part down. Like, what is the problem? And you were like, pump your brakes. No. Let's talk about your life pre-COVID. And let's talk about your life now. And I'm like,
Now.
yeah.
Yes.
What we had determined, or what you discovered, because you're brilliant, is that even though I worked out every morning, like clockwork, even during COVID, I really limited. I had COVID and going through the pandemic had drastically limited how active I was. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about active in the gym. I'm talking about how active I was in daily life because all
Yes.
of our meetings were now Zoom meetings. They were
Mm-hmm.
virtual. And I would spend hours in front of the computer. The time that I used to drive to my office, go in my office. My particular office was across the street from the rest of my executive teams and whatever. And so I was constantly running back and forth, constantly going to different meetings, constantly planning events, just walking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it never occurred to me that deficit in activity would show up the way it did on the scale. And you were like, Sonia, you're not getting enough activity. And I'm like, nope, I work out for an hour every morning. Got you, bloop. And you're like, no. And you don't.
That Listen, that will probably tickle me forever. And you were not alone, and you are not alone in that. It actually is the subject of one of my posts actually today. But it's pretty common right now that there's so many individuals who have not realized that you have cut 50 to 50 to 75% of your activity is no more. We going to the gym, we doing all the exercising, and you never struggled with going to the gym. That wasn't an issue ever. But when we start talking about the level of activity decline, it was huge, huge. And there is no way to replace that unless you start doing more. So the day I said, hey, I want you to do your workout plus I want you to walk every single day, and I want you to walk a mile and a half to 2 miles every day. I remember you're like, what? What do you mean? Every day? What? But I'm like, but remember, you actually used to do it every day.
Right.
Already. We're just putting it back.
Correct. I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And trying to fit in a half-hour walk every day, it can be tough, right? I mean, luckily I live in a neighborhood, like I got a lot of walkers over here. And it's, I know nowhere is 100% safe, but it's fairly safe if I go with my husband, for me to walk in the evenings. But, I was doing it out of obligation first, but now I see that 30-minute walk that I get as time to decompress. I think it's time to wind down. It is my time. I used to take my kids with me on the walks, but then I was like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Y'all stay here because you just messing up the zen that I have going on. And for me, those 30-minute walks, just, I mean, it was like so obvious, but that I missed it. It's so obvious that I completely missed it. And now, my husband got me a Apple Watch, which I didn't have before, didn't want one before. It's like, but it just, helped me to see whether or not people think it's accurate or not. I never Googled it. I don't want to know, but it helps me know, like, oh, you have it helps me to close those rings every day, or at least do my best to close them every day. And just getting in that extra activity is so key, and even on the weekends. So it was major. So I want to go into, so those were two really big ahas for me, but I do want to talk about how I felt. Like, I think the first difference I saw in myself, it wasn't even the headaches. I mean, the headaches probably stopped, but it was a while before I realized I did not have a headache. I was actually sitting in a meeting, and it just dawned on me that I hadn't had a headache in like 2 months. And I was like, oh my God. I think I told you, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had a headache in 2 months. The other thing that I saw right away was the quality of my workouts.
Yes.
Changed, like, not almost very quickly. Like, very quickly, I saw a difference, that I was not winded. I could run. Like, I couldn't run as much when I used to be a runner. I couldn't run as much. Now I'm back to running. I'm back to running frequently on the treadmill because my knees. I could lift heavier weights. Just the quality of what I was doing was so much better. And I feel like it's working very well. When it comes to my food consumption, you mentioned it, but it's like, I want salads, or I crave vegetables. And I like eating breakfast. I like, being able to come home and make breakfast, a savory breakfast. It's just, to me, it's a complete lifestyle change. But overall, I feel really good. I feel like I'm on the right track. I feel like, you put me on a path to go in the right direction, which is something I hadn't felt as it relates to my health in a very long time. Especially, you know what? It's funny because I've always, even when I felt at my most fit, it was always because of the workout. It was never really because of the way I ate, because I got it, but I didn't really get it, right? I didn't really get anything sustainable. But what I think I learned from you is a real sustainable way to eat, because it's not so restrictive. It's something that I can do when I'm on vacation. It's something I can do, when I'm traveling, and it's for work. I just feel like it's so easy. But the difference that I just feel more alive, based on how I was feeling back in January, where I felt lethargic. I just felt unhealthy. And the thing that we really haven't mentioned is the weight loss. We talked this whole time about all of the benefits and everything I learned. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to weight loss, and I did lose weight, guys. I lost weight, and continue to lose weight. The biggest change for me when it came to weight loss was really undoing years, decades of misconceptions about what it meant to lose weight. I feel like the thing that I had to work on the most during our time together, which is why I'm so grateful for 15 weeks, was the mindset around my expectations about what was to happen on the scale every week. I didn't even want to weigh myself, because I was like, I hate the scale. It makes me feel bad. And it's something that you wanted me to do, and I did it every Saturday. But it really was, even now, I have to remind myself that weight loss should not be quick, because everything in society, everything in social media tells us that weight loss should be easy. Weight loss, you should lose a lot of weight quickly, or you're doing something wrong, which sounds crazy, but those are the messages that are given to us that it should be easy. Why can't you figure it out? It's calories in, calories out. Why can't you get it? And I just think that I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, don't worry. I got it.
Go ahead.
I will tell you that so many people are just, I mean, we talked about it. And so there's so many men and women who are just like you who think, oh my God, it's my fault. Like, why can't I get this? Or this should be easy. Why is it not easy for me? Because when you see videos of people who you see this dramatic weight loss, but oftentimes what you don't see is the true time it took for them to get there.
Right.
Or you see some dramatic weight loss and you see a time frame that that doesn't, I don't know if that adds up. I don't think that makes sense. But when you are going to try to lose weight, be healthy and be fit, right? We're trying to do all these things. We're trying to be healthy, fit, strong, lose weight, and still lead a normal life, right? When I try to tell people
We
this is
want
not your
nothing to
profession,
change.
you still want normal life. And so it means that it's not 2-3 pounds a week. Right? There are certain weight brackets that will lose 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds a week, but that is someone who is, that's 250, 275 pounds plus. But normal weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. Initially, you will see maybe even the first week, some people can see 3 pounds. And then the second week, they can see 2, but consistently a pound every single week. Number one, that's not guaranteed, but when it does happen consistently, we're winning. I tell everybody that means you're winning. And for you, we had to go through that because you're used to seeing it happen more, but that same mentality of it's going to happen so quick, or I promise it's going to come back quick, versus we're slow, we're steady, we're very methodical about how you're going to do it, but in a way that you can actually still live. You feel fantastic. You're looking great. You're stronger. You're not lethargic. There's no headaches, right? All these things are happening at the same time. Inches are coming down and the scale is coming down. So we've got a trifecta, we've got all of these things happening at one time. And I'm like, we're winning.
We
But
are.
even sometimes within the winning, right? That mentality, the mindset of the person who has tried so many things, it can feel like you're not winning, but you are. Every single thing you're doing is a win. But because we don't see it super duper fast, you think, oh my God, that's not winning. But when I can see a pound averaging about a pound and a half every single week, I'm like, oh, we winning.
Yeah. And that's what I experienced, a pound and a half a week. And I was like, eventually your mind plays tricks on you because you're like, no, I want to see 5 pounds.
I want to see in 1 week. In 1 week. Yeah.
1 week. And what that does, I think what it did for me was, and what I also had to talk myself down in doing was trying to be perfect. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I have to be perfect in order to lose 2 pounds. And I really wanted to fight against that mentality of being perfect, because in a lot of ways, that perfection is very similar to being super restrictive. It's like there's not a lot of difference there between being perfect and being super restrictive. And I had to, when I didn't have, what I would consider a great week, I'd be like, okay, I got to be perfect. And it's like, chill.
And I would say, no,
perfect. You just have to go back to what it's working.
We just have to be consistent.
Yes.
That is the most important aspect. It is about being consistently good, not occasionally perfect.
Yes.
The consistency is what will get us winning. That's it, just consistent. And remember the one day when I said, hey, you got to think about it in terms of in a week. Let's say there's 21 meals in a week.
That's exactly where I was going.
This is key. 21 meals in a week. And if you tell me that this one, maybe 2 was a problem for you, then we got to come back to reality on our objective. And especially when we're trying to lose weight or we're trying to be consistent, can you do something with 85 to 90% execution? Can you do that? And so in the scheme of things, 2 meals in the course of 21, it's nothing.
Right. And usually that was such an aha big moment I'm like, oh, I eat 21 times a week. I mean, yeah, 21 times a week. And two of those meals were bad. And normally what I learned is that you don't let those two meals derail you. So if you had a bad whatever dinner on Saturday night, you did a little bit too much. The goal was not to, the goal is always to stop and assess, like, this is what I did wrong. I know I did it wrong. And to be able to start over and get back on the plan. Like, I knew if I had a day where I didn't eat what I was supposed to do, I always knew the next meal is coming for me to do better, to choose differently.
Yep. And that's
And
all
so
it is
dinner
about.
is the next day. Right.
Yep, is making a different choice or a better choice and being okay with the meals that we choose. It's not that something was good versus bad. It just may not have supported your full goal at the time, or especially if that's not something that you necessarily wanted to do. But we have to be okay with this different meal and manage the portion. That is it. And then from there, we move on. Or if it went awry, right? Everybody had that moment, because that's another part of the program is we're working on emotional eating, stress eating. Everybody had that moment where it has gone awry.
Right.
Right. And we just got to let it go and move on.
Yes. The discovery of plantain chips that you like with only 2 ingredients and figuring out like how you gonna eat the right amount. Even though it's a better for you food, is not like licensed to just eat it all. So I want, hopefully, what I hope with this conversation is that people understand that you do have options. Like, I was, and there is hope, right? I was really like, okay, I'm 45. I'm just gonna be fat. just That's just the way it goes, because perimenopause, all my hormones, and that is just the fate. And working with you, I see a different fate for myself, which is very nice. And while I do have you on the podcast because I've had such a positive experience, I do want people to understand, even if it's not with you, I know you, even if it's not with you, just get somebody who cares about what they're doing, has the expertise to do it, and will put alongside you. And you are worth the investment. And I know people who knew I was doing this program with you, they'll say like, how much did it cost? And I'm like, it was affordable for me, but ultimately it's about price. I'm not going to lie and say it's not about price. You don't have to think about it. But ultimately what it came down to me was I worth it? Was I worth the price that it cost to have you walk alongside me for these 15 weeks? And for me, I decided that I was worth it. I decided I was worth it. Because over the course of, who knows amount of days, and I even broke it down based on the day. I'm like, oh, and then when I did that, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Because it's easy to see that money gone in ways that are not benefiting you, like the ways that working with you would benefit me over the long term. So ultimately, I don't know anybody's budget. I'm not saying that this is what you have to do. I'm saying know that you are worth the investment in yourself, period, whatever level that is, right? Whatever level it is. And also, even though I said I was at the moment of being fed up, I'm like, oh, I'm here. I'm fed up. But even if you've been dieting forever, like me, I was on different diets, try different things. The way I turned that around and to myself to say, like, I've tried everything. Yes, the thing is, you keep showing up, you keep trying. And to me, that's worth something to me. Like, I never want to, maybe I didn't do it all the right ways or didn't figure out how to do it right. But the fact of the matter is I kept trying to figure it out. And that to me counts more than anything. So,
and I want to say this, what's so interesting for many people is you can feel like, man, I've tried so many things. Nothing else is going to work. It's just not going to work. I don't even want to try. But what I have found in my experience as an entrepreneur and in this business consulting a lot of individuals and working with a lot of different clients is that one thing is very much common is everybody can identify that even if they have done 15 other programs, other things, the one common factor is they knew with 100% certainty that what they were doing was not sustainable.
Right.
Like with 100%, like I'm not playing, like everybody knows it. You've done all these things, but the one thing that everybody realized is that what they did was not sustainable. They've lost weight. Everybody could lose it, but we couldn't keep it. What did it take for me to get there? What sacrifices? Oh my God, it was too rigid. Oh my God, I just had to count points. I had to do this. Oh no, I couldn't eat carbs. Everything that they've done was not sustainable. Shots, whatever, ACG shots, B12 shots, whatever it was something that you could not keep doing. And so when you think about what we were able to really discuss is this is something that is going to be sustainable. And sustainability means that it does take time, but it's going to help you today and in your future life. And so these conversations and the coaching program is so much more than just how we're going to look right now.
Right.
This is how my body's going to function, how my health is going to be 15, 20 years from now. And so that's why when I tell people this is going to change your life, this isn't just right now. This is going to change you forever.
Correct. And I want to say, I mentioned weight loss drugs before, Wegovy, and I forgot the other one.
Semaglutide, Ozempic.
Ozempic is the other big one. And I'm not saying that, people who take those drugs are bad. Like, I feel like for those who need drugs, if that's the way, then that's the way. The thing that I, that I would tell someone who I loved, who was having to take this medication, of course, I would support. But also in my head, I'm like, you still need to learn how to eat well.
Yes.
Like you're going to lose the weight. If you ever want to come off of that drug, you're going to have to learn how to eat. And it is not, I don't know what the long terms, I haven't read any studies about the drugs. I don't know. From a, just education, I don't know what they are. But to me, I'm like, I got off birth control because it was like, for what? What am I on it for? My husband got a vasectomy, like, why am I taking a pill for no reason? Like, yes, it's to monitor my periods, but I'm like, if I get off,
then what?
Will they regulate? Will it regulate on its own because I'm not taking some artificial hormone? I don't know. I mean, that's just the way I see it. I feel like if you are going to take a drug and that's that your doctor prescribed and your doctor's alongside you, I think that's perfect. I feel like you should also still understand food, understand nutrition, figure that out, because I know people who have eaten through bariatric surgery.
Yes.
Like their stomach this big, but what people don't know is your stomach can get big again.
Yes. Listen, and that is and again, that's why I say no matter how someone comes to me, the 100% everybody has done things that they knew it's not going to last. I can't stay doing that. Right. And so that even includes individuals who may be taking any of those medications. I have a client base right now who literally is already taking it, but they still have to understand how to live the lifestyle. Because if you don't learn new habits, that's still not going to help you. And so whether you take these type of, pharmaceuticals, or you take true weight loss drug pharmaceuticals, or you have surgery for weight loss, whether it be gastric, the sleeve, or a hybrid of both of those, you still must learn how to live the lifestyle. Balanced plates, prioritized protein, whether you plant-based or not, you still have to prioritize it. You still have to have an exercise regimen that makes sense and prioritizes some form of strength training. You still have to manage stress. You still have to manage your sleep. We still have to have good portion control. All those things must exist for any of this to work. So I tell people every day, while it may feel like that is going to help you and you need it, you still gonna need this other part.
You do. You do. Well, thank
Mhm.
you, Coach Netra. Now, do you have any questions for me? Did I,
I caught them all at the same time.
okay.
I did. I think, well, you know what? Maybe I think the last thing is, I think you shared it, but I think kind of the final piece is, what is your biggest aha moment and what is your one takeaway?
Oh gosh, I had so many. I think my biggest aha moment, oh gosh, I've had a few. Um, I think my biggest aha moment has to do with probably understanding food, because I think food has always been the biggest mystery, like how to figure out which proportion was right for me, what to eat, what to take out. I think if I could narrow it down to that, I feel like that was very eye-opening and probably the key to everything. I learned so much, but if I didn't learn how to put food on my plate in a then we wouldn't be talking. Like,
Yeah.
so if I have to say that, I have to say that it is figuring out what foods are right for me and my body. And the other thing I'll say is that thinking about my body and the way to eat healthily, how to eat in a more nutritious way is kind of like a gateway. It made me want to learn more about how to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a podcast called The Doctor's Pharmacy that
Mm-hmm.
I've been knowing about forever. I've known about
I love
Dr.
that.
Mark Hyman forever,
Mhm.
but I used to couldn't listen to his podcast because it made me feel bad. It made me feel like, gosh, I'm so far from all the things that he was telling me that it made me feel bad to listen to his podcast. And I would stop because I just felt bad. And I'm like, I don't want to go around feeling bad. But now I listen to those podcasts. I think it comes out a few times a week, and I listen to every one because I feel like I, I can always build on what I've learned. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't scare me anymore because I'm not super far from it now. Look, am I like,
Mm-hmm.
doing what he do? No. But I
I
can,
never do that. Like it's
yes, but I can take the information
yes.
and apply it in ways that work for me. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem counter or foreign to where
Mm-hmm.
um so to me, the biggest aha would have to be learning what food worked. And then what was the second part of your
And
question?
then it's like your biggest takeaway.
My biggest takeaway is the mindset work that we did around weight loss. I really, even though I knew you kind of know, like you said, maybe losing 10 pounds is not the healthiest, but look, the heart wants what the heart wants. Heart
I
wants
know.
to
In
lose
like 2 weeks, you're like, I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
and
Yes.
working on that slowly, learning how to be patient with myself and patient with my body, the body that it is now, was so huge for me. It's work that I still do, trying to unlearn years of, learning it the wrong way, right? Bringing in all of this information that was not good for me. So learning how to process that information. I think a lot about our coaching calls. Like I said, it was an opportunity for me to work through some of the mental
Mm-hmm.
roadblocks that I would come up against. Why am I not losing weight? I hate the scale. I feel like I should be perfect. I think I said on a coach, I'm like, I feel like the only way this is going to work is if I'm perfect. And just working through those mindset things are super helpful to me. All of the other tips, the salt in the water, the drinking the water, even the exercise, understanding that I wasn't moving as much as I thought I was. those are all key, but they don't work without understanding food and getting your mind in the right place. So
yes. Wonderful. And so I'm glad those are some wonderful kind of aha moments and a key takeaway. And I still love that you said, just understanding you don't have to be perfect. It's
no.
a life that we're creating, and life isn't perfect. But in life, we got to keep showing up and keep doing. And the more that we keep doing, the more that it's easier when we have a really good plan and then we've set ourselves up for success, right? That's what I call accountability. We make great plans and then you're actually able to execute on it.
Well, thank you for everything you taught me, for holding
I
me
love it. You are welcome.
15 weeks. Hopefully I didn't grate your nerves too badly.
Not at all.
I'm gonna be real.
And for those, I realize I need to say it. And for those listening, yes, Sonia did lose 1 pound every week in averaging it out. And that is traveled. Y'all know when we travel multiple times, you might see it go up, then it's back down, go up, back down. She traveled multiple times, sporting events for her children, all kinds of things, a very stressful work week, actually a few that were very stressful work weeks. But in reality, it's averaged out to be 1 pound a week. Yes. So just know that. Yes, you did.
I'm very proud of myself for that. So thank you, Coach Netra, not only for coming on the podcast, but for just, being a great coach for the 15 weeks that we worked together. I said I was never taking my kids to Disney again, but if I end up in Orlando, I'm definitely going to remember to look you up. And for everybody else, I'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.